Okay. There you go. Okay, so my name is not Techqueria team. My name is Val, and I am currently Techqueria's events lead. I wanted to welcome you all. Our organization is a nonprofit that serves the largest global community of Latinx professionals in tech or trying to break into tech. Through our community, we provide resources and support for other Latinx professionals, whatever they need to thrive and become leaders in the tech industry. So additionally, we work with companies to build more Latinx center spaces that revolve around career growth, networking, to affect change in the tech industry. So since finding and joining Techqueria, I've been able to find resources, job referrals, and most importantly, my community. So I'm super happy to now be partnering up with Intuit, and shortly I'll introduce you to the team. I'm super excited for you guys to get to know them. So Damien, go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. And so Nico's going to share a quick deck for you all to get to know a little bit more about Intuit. But while he's doing that, I'll go ahead and kick it off and say thank you for joining. Wherever you're at, I'm sure it's pretty close to evening, and you being able to spend the next hour and a half with us definitely means a lot to us. So our goal with this meeting, our goal with this, not even a meeting, not even a presentation, this interactive workshop, we're going to do our best to make sure that you take away something, that you learn something, that you make connections. And if you learn something about Intuit, that's a plus. So we're here for the community and for you. And our goal is going to be to just lift up the community in any way that we can. So for those of you who don't know, Intuit, a lot of people recognize the name, but they actually don't know what we do. And we have a handful of different products that are in our suite that are TurboTax, QuickBooks, Mint, Credit Karma, and recently an acquisition with MailChimp that's really, really exciting and definitely contributes to the growth of the business. And Nico, you can go to the next slide. And we did the welcome. So for me, I'll do a formal introduction. My name is Damian Wright, and I lead our diversity, equity, and inclusion talent programs. What does that mean for you? Where does Intuit show up in the places that we can attract top diverse talent like yourself? So whether it's us doing a workshop, whether it's doing a masterclass, a recruiting seminar, whether you see a email or blog from us, it usually stems from my team and the work that we do. And with that being said, I'll pass it over to Nico for an introduction. And Nico, you're on mute.
All right, awesome. Hey everybody, Nico Valencia here, dialing in from Reno, Nevada, if you saw in the chat. So I've been at Intuit for about 8 years. We'll get into my journey line in a bit, but I am a staff program manager currently and the head of innovation for Intuit's corporate social responsibility team, which is a really unique team where we don't focus really on the core business that Intuit does, but how we can leverage our tools and capabilities to best support social well-being and good. So supporting currently job readiness and education, as well as sustainability efforts for both Intuit and externally. And with that, I'll kick it over to Jody.
Hi everyone, Jody Cordero. I am a senior technical program manager here at Intuit. I've been here for 17 years, and I do also have a really fun journey line to share later. I'm just really excited to share this space with all of you and really look forward to connecting more.
So with that being said, after the introductions with the team, want to give you all a little bit more information about Intuit, just to ground you all on the work that we do and what our purpose is. So, one of the things that I can say about Intuit is two things. We are very mission driven and very values driven. So, a lot of the times you see these companies and they have the values plastered on the wall, and then you walk in the company and you're like, those two don't really match. What I'm seeing and what's on the wall really don't match. At Intuit, we truly live our mission for helping people power prosperity around the world, as well as our values that you can look up on the site that truly lean into the culture that we exude every single day. And you can take it to the next slide. Thank you, Nico. And really short, I'm not going to go through this entire slide. The short and sweet to this is that we're a 38-year-old tech company that operates like a startup. It's not like people think like Intuit's this huge conglomerate. We have like 12, 13,000 people after this most recent acquisition. And those 12 or 13,000 people put in a ton of work to serve our customers, as well as create revenue in the business. In addition to that, we are a global company and we have 20 locations in nine countries. And if you do a little bit of research on us and how we've disrupt the fintech industry, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. So we take a lot of work in the work that we do, and I hope like that shows up in the work that you see today from a program management perspective. And so really just diving into our products, the short and sweet is, in essence, we're a technology company and we want to serve our customers and communities to overcome their important financial challenges. Everybody on this call knows that solving money problems is probably one of the biggest problems in the entire world. And when you think of the heartbeat of the economy being small business, our QuickBooks organization and our MailChimp organization really lean into that to help small businesses thrive and have a better understanding of how their businesses operate. This time of year, everybody's talking TurboTax. You see commercials, you see advertisements, you go to Costco, you go in for rotisserie chicken, you come out with a TurboTax subscription. So it's all over the place. And another one that we take a lot of pride in is Mint and Credit Karma, and that's really just having that financial outlook, the personal financial outlook from credit scores, credit reports, and just your overall personal finance. And so I talked a little bit about our values and what's plastered on the wall and what we actually live every day. And there's 5 of them. And I won't go through all 5 of them and read to you what they mean. I'm going to just tell you the one that sticks to me. So when we talk about integrity without compromise, it's like, what are you doing when nobody's looking? To me, that's table stakes. But I really think one of the values that resonates with me is customer obsession. So whether it's a small business, whether it's somebody trying to do their taxes, or whether we're in a group with the community from Techqueria, we are customer obsessed and we want to do what's best for you. So really looking forward to this next hour and have just a couple more slides to show you about Intuit. So as it relates to like how we help our customers prosper, there's a couple pillars that we focus on. It's job creation and job readiness, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and a positive impact on climate. So you think like from a social responsibility perspective, what are we doing? We're creating jobs. During the height of the pandemic, we were able to create 2,300 jobs, as well as support 200,000 plus students and educators. If you do any research on Intuit from a diversity, equity, and inclusion perspective, internally and externally, I can say wholeheartedly, we're doing some of the more innovative things as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion and transparency behind the work that we're actually doing. And then as it relates to positive impact on the climate, the 2 main pillars are reduction in the carbon footprint and renewable energy. So at the end of the day, we would love to have 100% renewable electricity within the next 10 years, again, even in the height of the pandemic. So with that being said, thank you all for just letting me give you a high-level overview of Intuit And what we're going to do now is transition into the work that Nico and Jody are actually going to be doing, and how it's going to look for you and how you're going to engage and interact. So with that being said, I'll kick it back over to you, Nico.
All right, I'll learn the mute button eventually. All right, driving slides and webinar and managing chat and mute is maybe beyond my capabilities at this time. But yeah, so I just wanted to share one last slide before we jump into the workshop or the interactive portion. And that is that you're going to see in this workshop, and we hope that some of the things that we share are new to you. And that's because at Intuit, it's everybody's job to innovate. So our founder, Scott Cook, mentioned that this process called Design for Delight, which is our version of design thinking, is our #1 secret weapon. There is no number 2. And so what you're going to find, and those of you who are dialing in from Intuit know this very well, that from the CEO to support staff to program or product managers, innovation is the name of the game. And how do we innovate our processes to make sure that we're providing a great experience for our customers? And the last thing I'm going to mention there is we use the word customer rather loosely. Damien mentioned a bunch of customers that we support. And I think a lot of you as program managers, your customer is probably internal employees as well as the external customer. So it's people that are affected or benefit from what you do. So how do we innovate as program managers to make sure that we make everybody's life easier? And as you see here by the word delight, how do we provide a sense of delight in the experiences that people are going through? So with that, we're going to jump into, as I mentioned, this tool. It's called Mural. So a lot of you Intuit folks are probably familiar with this. Some of you, it may be the first time. So I'll put in a link here in just a second in the chat. But basically what you need to know about Mural before we jump in is Mural is an interactive whiteboard that helps us collaborate during the pandemic. Has helped us for the last 18 months, helped us as program managers, as innovators, as problem solvers. And is a great company because they are helping transition this future of work. And we've adopted this along with many other tools to help make program management easier for us. All right, so with that, I'm gonna exit out of here. We're gonna jump in. So I'll give everybody access. So everybody, if you just go into the Zoom chat, I'm going to put in the link to share. So you all should be able to hop on in here and join. So I see a couple of you in here. There's no need to log in. If you're an Intuit employee, it might ask you to log in, or you can enter as a visitor. Honestly, at this point, it doesn't matter. You'll get assigned a random animal. So I see visiting snails and seahorses, pandas, turtles, ducks. You can add your name. You don't have to. All right. So what I will say, and what I will mention, a couple of things for housekeeping before we jump in. One is this experience is much better on a computer than it is on your mobile device. So if you have an opportunity to hop into that link on your computer, that's great. If not, you can look on your phone or feel free to just kind of follow along. The other thing I'll mention is that traditionally, when I'm working with experienced Mural users, I don't actually share my screen because you'll be able to see everything that I'm doing from your own tab. But I will share it to make sure that it's easy for everybody to get aligned as needed. But just remember that there's going to be one screen that is my Zoom screen. You can't click on it. And then there'll be your other tab that you'll be working on that you'll be able to actually collaborate with. So when you get stuck and you go, oh, I'm trying to click, it's not working, it's because of that. A couple other things that I'll mention is right off the bat, hopefully you're in move mode at the bottom. So if you see here, I'm going to highlight at the bottom, there should be a bar. You can choose Zoom settings for mouse mode or trackpad mode, depending on what you're on. I'm using a mouse. And then there's move mode and view mode. So I don't think you have to click anything. It should work automatically, but just want to share some basic housekeeping tips there. In a second, we are going to go into a warm-up and we are going to share how to use this tool as well as we go through the warm-up. Jody and myself are both avid users of the tool. So if there's anything that you do or you think that you break, don't worry about it. We can fix it. But the goal here is that we all participate together. So as we mentioned, we're going to be going through talking about our career journey maps, non-traditional PM candidates, leveraging superpowers, innovating as we go, and some top tools here. Let's see here. We're going to go into, Jody, sorry, Jody, I don't remember. Are we going into journey lines right now, or are we doing warm-ups first?
Wait, should have gone to the warm-up. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. So we'll jump back into Jody and my journey lines here in just a second. First thing I'm going to have you all do, so I'm going to do a couple things. One is I have these special facilitator superpowers in Mural. So I am going to make sure that I hide all non-facilitator cursors for everyone. So as you see here, everybody's cursor should go away, except you probably see mine on the screen because I'm your facilitator. And you'll probably see Jody's as well. What I'd love you all to do, so you can do one of two things. You can click into one of these sticky notes here under participants, and then you can begin to type your name, or if it's a snooze you lose and you don't have one, you can just double click anywhere on the mural and it'll automatically pop open a sticky that you can start typing into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to summon everybody here. Everybody should now be seeing exactly what I see on your mural screen. Please feel free to add your name here. You could add where you're dialing in from, anything you'd like to. But go ahead and take a second and just add your name for posterity, those who want to observe this session in the future. And those of you who are dialing in or those of you who are viewing after the fact, sorry you missed out on this wonderful experience to actually jump in, but we're always happy to run these sessions again. Feel free to play along at home. All right, perfect. So a couple other things that I'm going to mention here is with your mouse or with your scroll pad, you can scroll in pretty much as you want to go. So if you need more space, I would always recommend zooming in before Martha makes her sticky any bigger. That way we'll all be good. So perfect. All right. So I'll go through a couple more pieces as well. We're going to jump now to a warm-up. One thing, if you can see on my screen, you all have access to this as well. There is a section at the top. It looks like a bulleted list. That's the outline. So I can close it or I can open it. If you all get lost or want to click directly to a section, you can. So we're going to go to a warm-up. It'll automatically take you directly to the warm-up. So as a PM, as you are facilitating a session, you have a lot of control into where you want people to go, at what time. You can guide them along. So it has this nice, great guided experience. All right, great. So for the sake of bringing everybody along, I'm going to be a little bit more forceful and I'm going to just summon everybody here. So you all should be in the warm-up section. All right, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to show you in just a second a couple more tips in Mural. And I want you to be creative here. So if you're looking at my screen, on the left-hand side, along the side, there are a couple things. It's a menu bar. You have text, where you can add sticky notes or text or titles. Don't really need those because you can just double click for the sticky. You can add shapes and connectors. What I love is you can add icons. So if you want to add an icon, there's probably an icon for literally everything. My superpower, I'll share it in a bit, but let's say my superpower is I can use the Force like a Jedi. I could type in Yoda and look at this. There's like 20 icons for Yoda. Who would have thought, right? So you can just take an icon, you grab it, you drag it onto the board, you can make it bigger or smaller. And Yoda is more like a green color, I think. So you can change the color. The other one that I'll share is images. You can search for a bunch of images. You can find Yoda, or you could even find a Giphy and you can find Yoda Giphies. So you can take those and you can drag those over to the board as well. So it's a couple different ways to express yourself. The last one I'll share is at the very bottom. It's a pencil. It's to draw. It can get messy. And I always recommend if you decide that you want to draw, zoom in. It makes it so much easier. So I can make an S. Oops. I can make an S much better. And then when I zoom out, it actually looks good versus trying to use a huge space. So there's also drawing. So a couple of ways that we can collaborate together here, and I'll hit done drawing. And so what I'd like you all to do, feel free to just use stickies, but also you can use icons, GIFs, images. I just want to take a few minutes. We'll put 3 minutes on the clock here. And what I'd like you all to do is think about, what is your superpower? What superpower do you bring to a team? What's your superpower at home? Really, sky's the limit. You tell me what your superpower is, but I'll put a timer on here for 3 minutes, and go ahead now and jot down and think about what your superpower is. All right, we'll put on some music as we're waiting as well. If you end early, try and spice it up with an image or a GIF. Let's see what we get here. Don't be shy. Hop in, share your superpower. Somebody's a grizzly bear. That's awesome. We got about 1 minute left. I see someone that's added a bunch of images here, or a bunch of icons. Remember, you can always just resize them if you need to. They'll probably show up a little bit small because this is a rather big board, so they have a default size, but awesome. And then you can always take things and drag them around, find an empty space if it's easier for you all. This is great. Got about 45 seconds left. Awesome. All right, so we're going to have, for bonus points, I'm going to add 1 more minute to the clock. And what I'd like you to do is take a look at this list of images and pictures, and I want you to take an icon. You know, maybe it can be a heart, or it could just be a checkbox or a lightning, or, you know, one of these that you see right off the bat when you click on icons. And I want you to find one that you would love on your team. You're like, oh, I would love to have that superpower on my team, or I'd love that superpower. So I'm going to give you a minute, use an icon, and then just drag it and just put it on the side. So I can just say, I really think it'd be great for me to have design effective learning experiences. Boom, put an icon next to it. So I'll give you all a minute. Find one that you love. I see Marie Kondo on here. That's awesome. I love that superpower. The whole family would love that. All right, time's up here. I'm gonna go ahead once again. I realize I'm gonna hide all non-facilitator cursors. Might make it easier again. All right, so looks like we got a ton going on here. So great work, everybody. And we're going to talk about this in a bit, but just think about your superpower and how that, supports you at work, at home. I'll share mine as an example. So I put mine here as Mr. Bean, right? Hopefully some of you remember Mr. Bean, but my superpower is I'm really good at packing for trips. So before pandemic happened, I used to travel like 180 days a year. And so I was so efficient at packing and just the whole trip experience. It was like second to none. And that the thing about me is I get a pit in my stomach when something is not ready, or I feel late, or I feel like I'm going to drop something. So when I would go home immediately after a trip, everything in the suitcase would go in the wash. I'd immediately put new things in the suitcase, and I always had like a carry-on ready to go at all times. Everything was ready. So that's kind of what works for me. Some of these things around creativity, I wish I was more creative. I am like left-brained, like you wouldn't believe. And so, I'd love to have those on my team, but it's good to think about like, what does your superpower translate to in all aspects of your life? Because you bring a lot of unique experiences. And then the important thing is get a diverse team, bring the group together so that you have more of these superpowers. Because if it's by yourself, you only have one, or if you bring people together, you have everybody's superpower. All right. So with that, this one here, perfect. I know I've been talking a lot, and I have my co-facilitator, Jody, here. So Jody, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click here. If everybody wants to look back at my Zoom screen, we're going to talk a little bit about journey lines. So Jody, I'll turn it back over to you to share your experience.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to be here with all of you and hanging out. Thank you for joining like late in the evening and stuff. It's such a pleasure to be here. I am a little punk rock girl from a border town in Arizona, Nogales, Arizona, and I am really proud of that fact. I am definitely embedded in empowerment for ourselves and each other. And so that's what you see on the left. That is actually like my favorite elementary school picture of my life, right? That was my favorite dress, and my mom didn't know how to take care of my curls, and so she sent me with bedhead. Isn't it amazing though? Don't I look fantastic? I'm just saying. So that was me when I was little, and it started the journey. Part of what I want to share in this conversation is how I got to where I am 17 years at Intuit, a technical program manager. It didn't make sense. It wasn't like I was born and I was like, I'm gonna be a technical program manager at Intuit. It was more like, I'm gonna finish college while I'm creating a human, and I'm not gonna graduate, and I'm gonna stumble into being a preschool teacher, and then I'm gonna figure out I'm actually really good at being a nonprofit director, right? And so I got to do that, where I started learning all of these really awesome organization skills, communication skills. How do I reach out and work with the community for fundraising and event planning? And that's when I really started to realized like I had a lot of inspiration with coordinating teams and events and inspiring moments that really bring together communities, right? Now, it doesn't make sense when you see me jump over into a really natural office manager, but I needed to get into something a little more stable. I was a mom, and so I needed to have one of those big kid paying jobs. And so I went into as an office manager for an international sewing company, where I learned about communicating with law officials as we do customs, as I learned more about details and the forms and accuracy and weights and measures as we move goods across the border, right? You start hearing all these interesting skills that translate to technical program management that I didn't know I was picking up, but they're there. Organizing the office, making sure we had good communication with clients, right? That led into technical support, actually being on the phone. That's when I broke into Intuit. And did you know that was only like a 6-month gig because I didn't think I was going to be there long? I'm now like an oldie but goodie, like 17 years. Like, who knew I'd be somewhere for 17 years? Not this punk rock girl, but I am, because it started like a journey of a career, because then I learned I like to lead people. So I became a performance coach. And then I like to lead experiences. So I led groups of teams to come together to support each other. I went into then organizing how customers got the help in operation management, and communication, organization, learning the various parts of the business that I didn't even know one day was going to come to this technical program management space. Because all of those skills were going to add up into this beautiful place I am now. Project management. I was like, ooh, I get to manage work instead of people. That's where I like it, right? Because I'm good with people. But when I figured out I could manage work in these beautiful executions, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so the cool thing about Intuit, guess where I got the training? Guess where I got the reimbursement? Guess where I got the support to go break into a job that, when you look at my resume, didn't make sense, but I had the skill sets that made sense, translated in how I showed up, right? Oh, and guess what? I'm an agile facilitator. I'm one of 2 agile trainers at Intuit. I help teams onboard into an agile model that's successful for themselves. Who would have known? I would have loved something like that. I have agile leader there twice because I'm so proud. Trainer then leader. I became a change enablement leader, where this beautiful combination of skill set came together and said, how do I enable change throughout this complex organization of customer success, throughout all the partnerships I created and all these other jobs that didn't make sense, but in these moments were just so powerful to my career. And after becoming a change leader, I landed where I am now. And I have 3 main roles at Intuit. I'm called a senior technical program manager, blah, blah, blah. But all it really means is I can manage work and I can manage technical implementation. So if you want to roll out some new tech, I can do that. If you want to roll out a new experience, I can do that. So that's what those words mean. I'm an agile enterprise leader. I implement the solutions and coach teams throughout those implementations on their teams. All of these skill sets come together because if you're agile mindset, you can manage work because you're lean, you're communicating, you're connecting regularly on an aligned timeline. Money. And I'm very blessed to be an Intuit Latino Network chair for here in Tucson, Arizona, where I really get to lean into these moments with people like myself and share how these really beautifully funky journey lines can turn into a career and a moment that we get to share together like this. And so when you're in those moments, you're like, I'm an office manager and what am I doing? There are skills you're picking up. Think about how you can lean into what you can learn that's going to be applicable for the future you have no idea you've dreamt about yet. That's my journey line. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Nico. Thank you for the time. And I really look forward to learning more about each and every one of you. He's still on mute. I love you, Nico.
All right. All right. I will master the mute button. But Jody, thanks for sharing. That's the first time you've shared the full journey line with me in detail. So I loved hearing about your story as well. So for me, I'm going to share mine as well in a little bit of a different manner, and everybody's a little bit different. And I think for me, mostly, I want more friends. So I added my direct LinkedIn profile. So please, if you haven't already, feel free to click on it and click on that thing that says connect. I would love to be your friend. We can make it official. So just share a little bit about me. And so I'm Nico. I have an interesting path. I was born in Peru. And so my dad's from Peru, my mom's from the States, from California. And so she lived in Peru for a few years, and tada, Nico is here today. And when we moved, my father was very risk averse. So I find sometimes, as son of minority parents, sometimes they're trying so hard. My dad was trying so hard to fit in that he wanted to avoid things that make us stand out, for better or for worse. So it benefited me in a lot of ways, and there's a lot of ways that I wish we could have done it better. And this is why I love connecting with groups like this, because I want to share my experience and connect more with my culture and my family, because I didn't always have that opportunity. Oh, look at this, 3 people that I've already clicked to join my network, so that feels good. But so that's me. I actually didn't even learn Spanish growing up, because my dad said, all right, we're gonna learn English, and we're gonna speak English in the house so that I can help get us ahead. And what they told me was, Nico, you know what, the world will always need accountants. So I'm going to need you to become an accountant. So I was actually the only 5th grader who, in his, what do you want to be when you grow up report, said, I want to be an actuary or an accountant. They're like, man, poor kid. And so I went to college. I went to Brigham Young University, where they have one of the best accounting programs in the country. I thought, okay, I'm going to be an accountant. And what I found out was I like talking to people more. And there was something that was missing in the accounting area. I ended up sticking with economics, and I thought, all right, I like some of these. I like numbers, but I want to think about strategy a little bit more. So I went into economics. Actually, currently trying to expand my skill set as well. So currently an MBA candidate myself at Babson College, trying to support more of my passion around entrepreneurship. So anyway, so I go to Brigham Young University. I get into banking a little bit, and then I get a job at Intuit in sales, because I love to talk. You can't really get me to shut up, and I could talk about anything. And so sales was the perfect opportunity for me. And so I joined in, and I started now, I think 9 years ago, in sales. So I spent about a year in sales before I thought, okay, if sales is a game, I feel like I've won, at least in its current state. I need to try something new. And like Jody, I have a lot of different stepping stones within Intuit. For me, it was always important to be T-shaped. I want to get a ton of breadth of knowledge and understand a lot of different areas of the business. So I went from sales to actually supporting the launch of customer success and innovating on different programs that Intuit was creating. Then I got this opportunity to lead education at Intuit. So Intuit education was a very small 1-person gig. The person that was doing it was retiring, and they said, hey, Nico, this person is retiring in 8 days. Soak up as much as you can, and we'd love for you to lead education. So I got into education and spent some time there before transitioning all the education work into corporate responsibility, which was fun. So as you see here, I went from sales to relationship management, partnership management. I was, senior management over partnerships for corporate responsibility. And just recently, over the past couple of years, really gotten into program management. And so what I found was I love talking to people. I'm really good at showcasing benefits to others in a way that can get their buy-in. So that's what always helped me as a strategic sales leader. And I realized that, oh, program manager also is this role where you have to sell what the other person needs to do. And I was like, okay, I think I can actually do that. I love, as I mentioned, packing for trips. I'm very organized, so I can take the organization along with the sales aspects and some of that logic and numbers that I've had in school, and voila. I ended up becoming head of innovation and staff program manager at Intuit. And so while my experience is completely different than Jody's, we ended up in a very similar location in program management. And for me, the reason why I thought it was so important to showcase this to all of you was thinking about, and we talked about this with superpowers, what skills and passions do you bring? And how do you use those to best manage as a program manager? So I always think that jobs are most fulfilling. Somebody said, I think it might have actually been Simon Sinek, who had talked about, there is this idea that for you to be successful or to be happy at work, you have to follow your passion. And he said, actually, I don't know if that's necessarily true. What I think is most important for work success is mastering a skill, becoming really good at something, and being able to share that skill and use that skill every day. And so I started mastering skills, and that's why I love program management, because I get to use these skills every day. And so my skills are different as a program manager than Jody's, will operate differently, and all of you have different skills as well. But think about, what are the passions and the things that you bring that nobody else does, and how can you leverage those more and more often to become a more successful program manager? So with that, if you want to read the nitty gritty or see any of the cool work stuff that we've done, feel free, like I said, connect. I'll add all those here in just a bit when I'm not sharing my screen. But that is Jody and myself and our journey lines. Jody, anything else you want to share about journey lines or about kind of the different paths?
No, but just like the content is saying in the chat, or human, sorry, you're not content, you're people in conversation. Sorry, I had a dog bark and kind of distracted me, but no, it truly isn't traditional. And your passions will change. Pick up the skill that you're passionate about, pick up the skill you think you want to improve on, and just keep going to your future, because you'll change, right? There is no you set in stone. So I think that's all I'd add.
Awesome. Perfect. So now we're going to get into it. We are going to go into the exercises today. It's going to be very simple as well. A couple of things I want to share before we jump into the exercises. One is, I went over the mural tips relatively quickly. If you get lost, there's the chat. You can always just get off of mute and ask. I have no problem as well. But there's mural tips and tricks on the board on the side. There's some more tips here down below. And then, as we're going, if you come up with any questions that you want to chat about, you can put them in the chat, but also you can just add them in this parking lot. Wall of ideas or questions, thoughts, comments, suggestions, your best practices or tips. I want to learn from you. I want to share more with you. So feel free to add stuff in the parking lot. And then at the end, if you have feedback, positive, negative, etc., there's a feedback section as well. All right, so what we're going to do is I am going to we'll use the outline because it's there. Move everybody here to exercise 1, and I am going to summon everybody here. So we are back in the mural working together. And so the first thing that we're thinking about right now is, what are the skills required to be a successful program manager? So what I'm going to do is, let's put, let's see here, I can do a quick time check. Let's do like 3 minutes here for you all to add what you think or what you've seen are skills that are required to be a good program manager. If you want to add any icons or anything, feel free to, or you can just add stickies, but I'll start the timer and play some music. And feel free to add as many stickies as you would like. Think about, you got 2 minutes, everything that's in your head, just pop it out on the board. And if it's duplicated, that's fine. It's good to know that other people have the same. You don't have to look at it and decide whether or not to put it.
And just a little bit of good news for everybody. You're going to get this mural. So at the end of the session, it's not like this mural is going to go away. We'll be able to send you the link and you'll have access to it so you can reference it.
I love the PM organization that's in here with some of you all organizing your stickies. Great, you can't help it. All right, awesome. So we have a bunch in here. I'd love to know if anybody want to go off mute and share kind of their experience, maybe one key skill that they've seen is required to be a successful PM. What has either been really helpful to you or that you've seen in practice?
Sure, I'll start.
Awesome, go ahead.
So I've been with Intuit almost 2 years, and I have a team in Virginia, and we've never really met because of COVID. But one of the reasons we're so successful is that we have established trust and integrity, and how do I say it? You know, they're not afraid to tell me something bad because we know we can fix things. So there's that layer of communication where, you know, it's not like you get your head bit off or anything like that. It's really, okay, how can we fix this and how can we move forward? So that's kind of one of the most, you know, great things that I have with my team.
Awesome, thanks for sharing. That's great, and that's a good one on here. It's not here in a ton of places, but absolutely, you know, trust and vulnerability and support as a program manager is absolutely crucial. I see a lot on here around organization. That's obvious, I think, and that's a critical skill. Anybody else see anything in here that is crucial, or maybe something that they didn't put but they see in here and they go, yeah, absolutely, we need that? Would love to hear any ones that pop out to anybody else.
Yeah, I think patience is an important one. I think especially on large and small programs, things can get a little bit chaotic, and so it's important for people to have patience.
Which leads to mine. The one of the ones I picked out was detail oriented. Somebody.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, detail oriented. Absolutely. And why is being detail oriented so important for you?
Because things get crazy or kind of can get hairy and kind of spastic sometimes.
Oh yeah,
If
absolutely.
you got everything, if you are paying attention to the details, I think it's a lot easier to keep a program, I guess, functioning well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sandra, they say the devil's in the details.
He's literally there waiting for us.
Oh yeah, every day.
Jody, how about for you, Jody? I'd love to hear one that you feel like is an essential skill.
I had two things. I'm going to do three. I'm going to cheat. You said, but they're quick. Transparency, the courage to be transparent. Call it when you see it early. The organization trusts us to let them know when we have a problem in the details that we're managing. So that transparent courage, call it early, because that was a skill set. It took me a while to really unmute and look at a senior leader and be like, yeah, but, and so that's totally a skill set. And the other one we forget, and that's hard for us because we're lucky to manage one project. It's easier, but many of us manage multiple. How do we balance ourselves, right? How do we make sure as a program manager, I'm gonna let that update, I'm gonna let that thing go tonight, I'm gonna call it, because our things never end. And so between the two of them, you have effective leadership, communication, and engagement, working through your barriers and your challenges, and then yourself. Because again, without yourselves, you can't bring that beauty into your workspace. And so make sure that you're prioritizing yourself through that, even that transparent, courageous communication. So that would be my pro tips.
I love that. Those are great. And I see in the chat here, John mentioned being an advocate. That's another great one. Absolutely. For me, so my partner, she's a business analyst and a program manager as well. And so you can imagine how fun our dinner conversations are. But she said, I was asking her, I was kind of beating my head against the wall on something. She's like, the number one thing that I've learned is to over communicate everything. She's like, when you think that you've had enough communication, like do it like 3 more times, like, over communication, like it can't hurt. And so, I always think about how can I communicate as much as possible. And so that to me is coming from a place of empathy. And I see empathetic leadership, and empathy, for me, empathy is a key value at Intuit. It is for me, and communication is a way that I feel like I can show empathy for those that I am supporting. All right. So these are all great, wonderful skills that are required. So we're going to move and we're going to go into exercise 2 now, which is very similar to exercise 1. And so what I would like you all to do, I'm going to summon you all. We're in exercise 2. We're going to go through the same activity. We'll give you a few minutes here. I'm going to do 5 minutes this time. This is a little bit harder. But what we want you to think about is, I want you to think about like transferable or durable skills that you possess that can make you a successful PM. So I'll go back to, packing for trips, or if someone is good, I actually see Jody talking about karaoke in the chat. So I was like, maybe you're a really good singer, you know what I mean? Or maybe you're a DJ. Like, I don't know what it is, but like, I want you to think outside the box. And I don't want to think about the skills that we just talked about in exercise 1. I want to think about out of the box skills that you possess that can make you a more successful PM. So not necessarily what other people possess. I want you to think about you. What are those unique skills that you possess that can make you successful outside the box? So I'm going to put timer on for 5 minutes here. I'll start some music and go ahead and add your durable skills. And once again, you can add more than 1. All right, I'll call a few as we're going through this. I see somebody wrote de-escalating children. That's exactly what we're looking for. That's amazing. That's a skill that, wow, fantastic, that you can absolutely leverage to be a successful PM. Oh, I like the getting my 3 cats into the same room. That's fantastic as well. I find that if you're good at cats, you'll love the laser pointer feature in Mural, and it helps you herd the cats.
I totally just saw that too, and I was like, that's brilliant, because it's brilliant.
Absolutely. You guys have about 2 minutes left. Think about things that are fun for you or that you're good at that doesn't maybe necessarily bring value in any way to your life that you initially, think about. Like, I could watch 12 hours of Netflix in a row. I don't know, go crazy. I could eat Chipotle every day for 2 weeks. I like it. We got some shapes. We got some icons in here as well. And I just saw you in the chat, so I'm not sure if you're already in there, but I popped in the link for anybody who's not in right now for Mural as well. All right. All right, this is awesome. I would love, if you don't mind, please do not be shy. We are all friends here, specifically LinkedIn friends, I think. So I would love to hear anybody have like an outside of the box skill that they're good at. What can you share? I'd like to hear some of the skills of the group. If we want, we can start. I'm going to call on you. And the person that I'm amazed with right now is, who is the person that is good at folding fitted sheets?
Oh, that was me. Okay. That's funny. I just came off mute to talk about my shambongs, but
You gotta do both.
you have to do the shambong while so I don't know if anyone or everyone on this call has experienced a shambong, but it's incredible. And even for the non-drinkers, you can have have some form of a clear soda in your cup. It's so much fun. And through COVID, it was kind of our way of, with the very few people we would have over, it was mandatory that when you walk through the door, you had to do a shambong, and then we could start socializing and eating and drinking. So it was great. Shambong, and if you're going to order them on Amazon, get the stand, because then it's helpful too. So they have a stand for it. I know, it's amazing. As far as folded sheets, that was a gift that I didn't know that I had, but my mother was raised by someone in the Navy, and everything had to be exactly perfect. And I love me a folding party. I would go into every one of your homes and do laundry all day, every day. You feed me champagne, I'll do all your laundry. So, but folding a fitted sheet, the bigger the sheet, the harder it is. And it's fun. So that's, yeah, a random talent.
Awesome. That is fantastic. And sorry, I had to ask, I put in the chat, is a shambong what I think it is? So
Yes. So you fill them with champagne typically, and they're angled almost like a V, so that then you cheers and you shoot it. And
It's
so
a champagne beer bong, Nico. Like,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that how the bubbles would work. I don't. That's amazing.
no, yes, are you thinking about bubbles, Nico? I'm gonna go back on mute. I love this conversation.
That's amazing. Awesome.
it's you definitely have a bubbly, like you may or may not have people who don't necessarily burp in public be burping, but by all means, it makes you all feel that much more welcome and included.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Anybody else like to share some of their skills that they're great at that maybe we wouldn't have known had we not met today?
Alejandro, were you saying something?
Yeah, it was. I just I'm double muted. I use headphones for work, so I got a little mute
Okay.
here and the mute there. So, but I can talk now. My quick skill is I like tasting food and then finding that ingredient that kind of brings it up to like the next level, even though if it's not in the recipe. So if it's something that tastes really good, what's that thing that makes it taste even better? And if it doesn't taste all like not that great, like what can you make it to make it taste like all right and manageable? So that's something that I try to implement.
Manageable, he said.
Yeah, man, I'm a food like critic, I feel like. But coming being a Mexican, my mom, like, she makes great food, but she wasn't, the tradition is not like having like really specific recipes. So I had to develop like how to be an intuitive cook. So luckily now, as an adult, I can cook for myself. So that's a skill that I'm pretty proud of.
That's awesome. I totally saw that too, and I was like, legit? Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Anybody else? One more person. Would love to hear. So how about this person? Who is good at finding out how to get unlost when vacationing? So I see that here.
I didn't put that, but I could do
me.
it. There you go, Courtney.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Courtney. Yeah. I get really nervous about just being lost because, when people say go east, go west, my brain just shuts down. So as soon as I find out I'm lost and people start looking at me to help get unlost, I start freaking out because I'm like, I don't want to be the leader in this situation. But, sometimes you just have to get the compass out on your phone and just figure it out and not freak out, because I think when you freak out and you're lost, then everyone you're with starts freaking out, and it's just a terrible situation.
It's a mess. Do you have the map with your compass, Courtney? Because I like being that person.
Yeah, I'm that person. Sometimes someone will come over and help me because they just see that I'm about.
They see you.
They want me to get out of the way.
And Courtney, to that point, the other extreme, I seriously feel like my skill would be, or is, you could put me in anywhere in North and South America and I could find my way home without a map.
Oh no, that could never.
I got 5 on it. We're just gonna drop him off. Like,
Do it. We're gonna put some money on it, but yeah, we're gonna do it.
Oh,
that's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Courtney.
Thanks.
Oh man. All right. Courtney, one thing, I was actually, my brother is about to get married and I was planning his bachelor party. And one of the locations we're thinking about going was Alaska. So I was looking up things to do in Alaska. And I'm on Reddit and somebody's asking, we want to take our bachelor party to someplace in Alaska and drop the bachelor in the forest and see if he can get home. And everybody's like, no, that sounds like a great idea, like after a couple of beers, but that's a great way to get this person killed or eaten by a bear. So hopefully that never happens to you. But
not married.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so these are great. And so this is kind of a little bit of a rehash of that superpower, but I was thinking even more broad. So I think a lot of the superpowers we thought about were maybe related to our work and things that we do all the time. But, for me, I put a couple things as, more work related, as I feel like I'm a presentation design wizard. Like I'm good at Google Slides. I'm good at Mural. I can present visually relatively well. Great transferable skill, I think. But also I'm really good at fantasy football. So I'm not exactly sure how to work that into my PM skills yet, but like I win every year. Like, why? I don't know what I'm doing, but is it I'm good at reading or researching, or maybe research is the thing. I don't know.
Probability. There you go, Nico.
Exactly. Yeah, it's my college days and economics and whatnot rearing its head. So I want you to think about those different things that you bring. And so you can maybe combine what you saw or thought in exercise 1, but I really want to focus on exercise 2. And what we're going to do now is you got this big space for exercise 3. So I'm going to move us all here, summon everybody to exercise 3. And I want you to be as visual as possible. And I want you to think about how you can leverage your skills in a new way to improve yourself or your team. So these new skills that we're uncovering, what can you do in the realm of program management or project management to make you better, to make your team better, to delight them? We talk a lot about delight or surprise and delight, and maybe it's showing up with a shambong, maybe it's doing some kind of rally at the beginning of a meeting. I don't know. But I would love, we talk a lot about prototypes. So I would love for you all to kind of think about what does your prototype look like here, leveraging the skills that you thought about in exercise 2. And the way that you're going to do that, we're going to give everybody about 10 minutes, is when I double click here, you see this is the default size of a sticky. Okay. So once again, I do not want you all to like make your stickies huge because we have a lot of space. You can always just kind of orient yourself with what size a default sticky is, and then just go into a section and you can either use icons, you can use images, you can draw out what your flow looks like, however you'd like to do it. I would love to see kind of your little prototypes of what your experience is going to be. And if you need, you can even pull up icons or shapes here and frameworks that might be able to help you out. So be creative, but I'd love for you all to think about how you innovate on your PM skills. So we will put, I'm going to do a quick time check here. I'm actually going to put 6 minutes on the clock. And if we need more time, we'll use more time. But 6 minutes, you are set, good to go. Find your space and start prototyping. Music, prototyping music is needed. There we go. Thanks, everybody. All right, and as you all are thinking, keep going. I'll share mine as we're going. So the whole champ bong has just really stuck with me. I just imagine there being this like random deck. It made me think about like when you have to do a Smirnoff Ice. This is a random conversation I didn't think I would have in this PM meeting, but you got this random deck. Maybe you incorporate a random trigger image, and when that happens, they have to do a champ bong, or they have to do something. Like, how can you incorporate like a hidden Waldo in things that you do that spice up a meeting in the middle? And it doesn't have to be alcohol related. It can be jumping jacks, it can be sing a song, whatever. But people were talking about build trust, form connections, become an advocate, and like there's a lot of people around the process. And so this might help me become a better people-oriented PM. So that's my random prototype. Awesome. If you're still going, feel free. We're going to move on in just a sec. I'm going to point out, Alejandro, I'd love for you to share yours. It looked great. I liked it. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about how you brought your superpower in.
Yeah, for sure. This is me being a high school teacher. Just got to make everything super visual and interesting for the kids. So that's another superpower, I guess, that I bring. But talking about the topic of like food, being a foodie, and tasting things and how can you make it better. I was just thinking, like, when you're working with a team and someone brings a plan, or you kind of review an idea and you think that's okay, but there's an opportunity to make it better and spice it up. So that's my visual right there with a team meeting, thinking like there's a better way to do this, or how can we make it even better? And the visuals, like with a plan plus some kind of salsa, and the end is a happy user, a better user experience with better adoption, or just generally happier people. So that was my little idea.
Love it. This is great. So feel free to continue working on these as you see fit. I know that we mentioned that we were going to share some workshop tools. We put a list of some of the most common resources that we use at Intuit and have been successful with in our careers here. So they're all links from Smartsheets, which you find relatively traditional, and Asana, to Coda, which is a great new way for like the one doc to rule them all, to Mural, which we've used today. And if you're a Mural user and you like it, the great thing is you can find these tools. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, because there's probably a template for everything you want with any of these tools. Mural, yep. Sorry, Jody, I know that you share, you love the templates as well.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, totally agree. And also look at that with your partners, with your peers, with your teammates. Ask them, do you have something that you use? And use it to benchmark where you're starting from. There is a lot of content out there that you don't have to start from ground zero alone.
Awesome. And I know we have 8 minutes left, so happy to answer any questions. I know, Damien, that you had some housekeeping and some things as well. So I want to make sure we have time, so I feel like happy to turn it over to you or to the group for questions, whatever works best.
Yeah, so just real quick, and then we'll get into questions. So number one, I'm dropping a quick survey For those of you that are on, it literally will take you 2 minutes to fill it out. We just want your candid feedback on how this session went and how it resonated with you and how we can make it, how we can spice it up. To Alejandro's point, we got to add some salsa to it, right? So that's number one. And number two, for those of you that are PMs or looking to get into the PM world, you may not know this, but Intuit has approximately 130 openings for product management and product management, project and program management. But like seriously, in the project and program management space, there's almost 100 positions open. And if you're able to articulate those transferable skills, and you're able to bring people in and tell the story like we've been telling today, these are opportunities for you to seize. So with that being said, I want to open it up for questions. But before I do that, I just have to say thank you for your time, your energy, your commitment, and huge shout out to Nico and Jody for being amazing facilitators.
Yeah, and thanks to all of you. I mean, every time I go through sessions like this, I'm amazed that, we talked a lot. Hopefully we shared some useful nuggets. Hopefully you learned from one another. And if you just take a zoomed out look at the board, look how much we contributed together. And to me, that's another key piece of being a program manager is it should not always be me talking or me directing, but it's a collaborative effort. And the more that we bring people in, the more successful we will be and the faster we'll be. So I think we get more in, it's better, it's quicker. So collaboration, absolutely key.
Hey, Nico and Jody, this is a great question for both of you since you've both led ERGs at some point in time. As a PM, how do you scale a program for a workforce with over 1,000 employees? Let's use an employee resource group as an example.
First, my recommendation is always start with a good change impact assessment. Who's going to be impacted by the change? What organizations, what cohorts do you want to engage? Those are all words for people. Sorry. Who do I want to engage in this? Are there leaders I need to get buy-in from, right? So start with your sponsor and your executive leadership. Figure out what other teams and people can help be your change champions. You bring them on the journey and they kind of change that experience on your behalf throughout the organization. So leveraging sponsorship alignment up front so they know you're going to come, getting that money up front too. Make sure you ask for some good money for in that engagement. Find your change champions are also the next one that I would suggest. Who's going to help rally that change with you? And then really, as a team, lean into some agile methodologies to figure out what engagement model works best as you design and implement what that system looks like, right? Meeting regularly, frequently having conversations on priority and work, things like that. And so I think that would be some of my recommendations. Nico?
I don't have too much more to add. I think you covered pretty much all of it. And I think for me, it always comes down to the initial, long list of stakeholders. Who's most important for buy-in, and then also who's most important to co-create and support with. So I always come at program management from a design thinking and innovation lens, which starts with empathy. And so as I'm going through, right after project charter, it's how do I co-create this and design and support a group that is bought in, because it is not my initiative and it's their initiative. And I think that, Jody, as you mentioned, with an ERG specifically, it's a group that doesn't have to listen to anybody. And so I think you all are familiar with that, but sometimes in your day-to-day job, there's a little bit more pool. With an ERG is extra tricky because nobody has to do anything. And so that's where you have to dig deep and figure out, what's the connection I can make with them and who has the say in the pool. And as Jody mentioned, the money is very important as well.
Let's be honest.
Donna, we saw you came on video. Do you have a question or were you just popping on?
I was just popping on. I do have a comment. I just want to say thank you. This was very helpful. I already filled out the survey.
Thank you.
And I'm going to use this tomorrow because I'm driving a project, and just some of the stuff that I saw on the screen is just going to be awesome. It's going to help me tomorrow. Yeah. So thank you very much.
That's a huge takeaway. Thank you, Donna.
Oh, wonderful. That's great to hear. Intuit, we always talk about speed to benefit. And I feel like the fact that you're going to leverage this tomorrow is wonderful. So that's music to my ears.
And there's transition to it as well. As a PM, you're using new tools, you're going to get stuck, you're going to hiccup. That's okay. That's how you learn. And if you keep using it over and over and building that muscle, Donna, you're going to be running in second nature, just like Nico. So just ask your participants for some grace.
Yeah.
John asked, how can I, yes, that's a Nico question. How can I gain access to the tool?
Yeah, so the nice thing is, so it's mural.co, and I could probably just share my screen one more time real quickly. But you can go to Mural, and they have like a free for life mural.go, and they will have a free sign up where it's limited use, but you can start for free for forever. It's not a trial. And then once you need more capabilities, you can always upgrade as you go. And one thing I'll mention, I know we didn't share them, but I'll show you, money where my mouth is. Mural templates are what I do literally every day, from flow to workshops, financial services, budget requests, but you can go in as well. You can find templates that are all about PM work as well. So as you mentioned, retrospectives, wall of work, conducting brainstorming, project kickoff templates as well. So while this is not necessarily a mural sales pitch, it's a great tool, and that's why we leverage it as an enterprise at Intuit.
Yep. So I know we're at time, and like everybody, we have to either use your emojis or just give Jody and Nico a round of applause for a show well done, an interactive workshop, and it was amazing. So hats off to you. Everybody, please enjoy your day. If you didn't catch all of it, or you missed the beginning or the middle, whatever, we will have a recording that is recording that'll be sent out through Techqueria. And cheers to everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you all so very much. Stay well. Bye.